Good morning. Welcome to another One Mind meditation. Just before we get started with today's meditation message, I want to remind you that probably the best way to get yourself ready to slip into a meditation with us is to bring your attention to your breathing. Inhale through your nose, breathe into your belly. Imagine that it's a balloon inhaling and a balloon deflating. And you'll be ready to float away with us in just a few minutes. Good morning, Ilza. Good morning, Marcella. It is awesome seeing you this morning. Our meditation journey today. Hey, Sunmari, good morning. And Pat, a very good morning. Our meditation journey today is called The Masks We Wear. And it's an acknowledgement of looking at ourselves, looking at our just humanness, and seeing how through our lives, what we often do is we put on layers of armor in a way to protect ourselves, where we're dealing with people since from childhood into adulthood. We're often faced with people or a person who makes us feel like we should be in some way different. We should show up in some way different, and we often adapt in a way that makes ourselves acceptable to the people around us. Ingo, a very good morning to you. It's good to see you, man. Happy New Year to you. And as we embark on a journey of kind of self-discovery, learning who we are, wanting to do better, it often feels like we're walking through fire and we're losing parts of ourselves. And in this morning's teaching, Muji says, step into the fire of self-discovery. This fire will not burn you, but it will burn everything that you are not. And the things that will burn away that you are not are these layers of armor, these ways of just trying to find a way to cope. That's not really you, but you've kind of become all of these layers of armor. And these are the things that Muji says that are going to burn away as you continue along on this journey of self-discovery. And what you'll be left with is who you really are, not being any of these layers of armor that you're not anymore. But Muji also gives almost an important warning along with this. He says, being who you are, discovering and finding who it is that you are, being that part of you is actually the easy part, but what's really difficult is to stop being what you're not. We have ingrained patterns of survival, patterns of coping that have become so hardwired that even when we realize this is not who I am, it's hard to stop still reacting in an old way, simply because those patterns have come a long way. Those masks, we've become so used to picking up those masks and wearing them that I'll just read Muji's words again. Being who you are is the easy part. What is difficult is to stop being who you are not. It's difficult to stop picking up the masks and wearing them if that's what we're used to doing. And then Swami Vivekananda says, whenever we attain a higher vision, the lower vision disappears of itself. Not necessarily instantly though. But our work is not to fight against, push against, and resist these old patterns. We can't change these old patterns by going head to head with them and fighting with ourselves. But when we realize that we really are something different, these old patterns, they're just ways that used to make us feel safe. When we realize that we are more than that, the work becomes to recognize the old, but not fight against it. Just keep reaching for the real you. Keep reaching for your higher self. Keep stepping into your higher self, but don't get involved in a war with your small self. Whenever we attain a higher vision, the lower vision disappears of itself. As I've already said, our journey today is the masks we wear, and we're just taking a look at what are the ways in which we felt we needed to adjust for the world around us. What are the ways in which we felt we needed to put on a different face in order to make ourselves acceptable? And remind yourself of how far you've come. How many of those masks do you still use unconsciously? And how many of those masks have you kind of put down for good? Recognize how far you've come. If you're ready, you can close your eyes and let's float away on today's journey together. Starting with the first few big breaths. Let's take a deep breath in. And out. Take a deep breath in. And out. A deep inhale. And let it go. Take a deep breath in. And out. One more big breath in. And let it all flow away. You can continue the same breathing pattern on your own time. Every slow inhale through your nose gets drawn all the way deep down into your belly. And as you fill up your belly with air, also raise yourself up. Lift the top of your head toward the ceiling. And once you've reached your full height, let all of it go. As you exhale, soften. As you breathe out, soften your spine, slump down your shoulders and drop your head. Only goal right now for this first phase is full body breathing, which means inhale by raising yourself up. Exhale by allowing your body to collapse. And with every exhale, lead your body to softness. Every exhale becoming softer than the one before. And while you continue to breathe, while you continue to soften, entertain this thought for a moment. You've come a long way. Since childhood, all of us have picked up different strategies for coping. We can call them coping mechanisms. But I'd like you to think of them not as a negative thing, just as a strategy in which your mind, your body figured out a way to survive. While it is likely that you've not outgrown all of your old coping mechanisms yet, it probably is also true that you have been able to step out of some or maybe even many of them. Just like a child needs the coffee table to hold on to while she's trying to learn to walk, there comes a time where she can let go and just walk on her own. As adults, we have a whole new experience of learning to let go of the coffee table, learning to let go of old ways of feeling safe, old ways that don't serve us anymore. You've come a long way. We'll take the last few big breaths of this phase together, helping our bodies to stretch and adjust and settle down. Let's take a deep breath in. As you release, drop your head all the way forward. And then roll out your neck muscles. Forward and to the left and forward and to the right. Rolling out your neck muscles in half circles. Let's take a deep breath in. As you release, roll your shoulders forward in big, slow circles. Take a deep breath in. As you release, roll your shoulders backwards in big and slow circles. Take a deep breath in. As you release, focus on your spine. Tilt your upper body over to the left and tilt your upper body over to the right. Stretching into back muscles on the left hand side and also on the right hand side. One more big breath in. And as you release, you can stretch or move or adjust any part of your body that still needs a bit of help settling down. Having softened into presence as much as we can, we'll turn our attention inwards and dive deep inside for the next part of our journey. With every next inhale, we'll hold our breath for a few short moments, followed by a long and slow exhale. Let's take a deep breath in. And hold. As you release, make it a really long, really slow exhale. Take a deep breath in. And hold. As you release, feel into your body and feel your muscles soften as you exhale. Take a deep breath in and hold. As you release, follow the downwards flow. Feel your shoulders falling, feel your body softening, and feel how you are slipping deeper and deeper into you. One more big breath in and hold. And as you release, feel yourself melting. Feel your body dissolving. Feel how you are slipping into a deeper level of surrender with every slow exhale. You can continue the same breathing pattern on your own time. Every slow inhale through your nose is an invitation. It invites you to turn inwards and follow this journey. As you breathe in, feel the air flow in through your nostrils. Feel the air touch the back of your throat. Stay with your breath as it flows in through your lungs. And as you fill up the balloon inside your belly, feel yourself slip all the way in. Hold your breath only for as long as it feels easy. Followed by a really long, really slow exhale. With your next big breath, as you dive deep into you, welcome yourself home to this body. Take your next big breath. taking a stroll backwards down memory lane. We're taking a look at the coping mechanisms that we picked up along the way. Not in order to judge the people who made us feel less than, and not in order to judge ourselves for the coping mechanisms that used to make us feel safe. Simply to recognize our journey, recognize how far we've come, which of these masks we've been able to shake off, and maybe also recognize where there is some work still to be done. With your next big breath, as you dive deep into you, think of the small child you were, and your caregivers, likely your parents. Can you remember an example of a way in which it was made clear to you that the way you show up is not good, it's not right, and you need to be different? You need to be different in order to be acceptable. Can you remember one of these examples in which you felt the need to show up differently? Take your next big breath. I like to imagine being able to take that mask off and place it on the floor next to you. You don't need to show up differently in that way anymore. Think about the young kids you grew up with. They might have been siblings, they might have been cousins, they might have been the kid next door. The young children that the young version of you was surrounded with. Can you think of an example where one of these young kids made you feel unacceptable? And you had the sense that I need to be different, otherwise they won't like me. That often also causes us to wear a mask, to show a different face, so that we can be liked. If you can, see if you can find an example like that. Take your next big breath. moment, you can take that mask off too and place it on the floor next to you. We tend to have older family members, aunts, uncles, grandparents, and for the young version of us, they're very influential too. Can you remember any of these older family members saying something that made you feel unacceptable? That made you feel like you had to show up differently in some way in order to be accepted? Take your next big breath. For the moment, take that mask off too and place it on the floor next to you. When we're slightly older, let's say around about teenage age, our peers, our friends at school play a huge role in how we see ourselves. Can you remember a friend, a school friend, that made you feel unacceptable? That made you feel as though you need to show up differently or else you'll be rejected? See if you can remember an example. Take your next big breath. And then even our adult relationships play a role. Whether they're adult romantic relationships, adult friendships, or maybe a colleague or an employer. In your adult world, can you remember an example of someone making you feel like the way you are is not acceptable, and that you have to show up differently in order to be accepted? Remind yourself of an example like that and take your next big breath. that is another mask you can take off and for the moment place on the floor next to you. We'll take the last few big breaths of this phase together, slipping out of the breath holding space and into the next. Let's take a deep breath in and hold. As you release, make a really long, really slow exhale. Take a deep breath in and hold. As you release, invite softness into every cell in your body. One more big breath in. And hold. And as you release, feel yourself slip all the way through. There is no more attention on your breathing. You can just sit back or lie all the way back down and feel yourself just floating. I want to mention this again. The intention is not to judge the humans in your life that made you feel less than loved. And if you currently feel a reaction to them, it's not bad and it's not wrong. The intention is also not to judge yourself for the coping mechanisms you accumulated, the layers of armor you accumulated through your life. But to have an awareness of what is there. And all of our changes starts with awareness first. I'll share with you again beautiful words from Muji and Swami Vivekananda this morning as an acknowledgement of the fact that this journey is pretty normal for all of us humans in general. Muji says, step into the fire of self-discovery. This fire won't burn you, but it will burn everything that you are not. And this morning's journey is a part of that discovery. Discovering what is there. What are my old coping mechanisms? What are the masks that became a habit for me to wear? The next part of Muji's message is, being who you are is the easy part. What is difficult is to stop being who you are not. And in the context of our meditation today, and the example of masks, the easy part is to recognize, yes, over here, this specific example, I can remember how I felt. And I can see how from this day when I felt unacceptable, I can see how I showed up putting on a face, pretending to be something I'm not, that's not really me, in order to be acceptable. Having that realization is the easy part. Realizing I'm using a mask and that's not really me is what's easy. What is really difficult is to stop reaching for the mask. Stop reaching for the pretend. The acknowledgement is that this takes work, that it is likely you'll reach for the mask without thinking, because it's unconscious, it's subconscious. And to catch yourself again, seeing I'm pretending, to be kind to yourself, to be gentle with yourself, and realize that this takes time to soften. The last thought was by Swami Vivekananda that said, whenever we attain a higher vision, the lower vision disappears of itself. While this is true, it's not instant. It's not something that happens because you've had a realization. After the realization comes the work. If we could perhaps call it a small self, our small self that still has the need to pretend. Our job is not to be in a battle with the small self. Our job is not to accuse, to punish, to criticize this small self that still needs this mask. But to understand the scared part's need for surviving. To pull closer that small self, to hold the scared part until she feels less scared. But to become clear that I will step into my higher self. To choose to be the higher version of me again and again. And it is by attaining the higher vision, choosing the higher vision again and again, that the small parts of us become less and less dominant. Perhaps not absent, but less in the driver's seat. You've come a long way. While there might be masks that you still wear, I'm sure that there are also masks you've been able to put down. Remind yourself, thank yourself, have gratitude for you who have come this far. We have the last 5 breaths of gratitude to do together. With every exhale, I'll say my thank you, and I invite you to say yours. Let's take a deep breath in. Thank you for this journey of learning about, realizing, recognizing masks, coping mechanisms, old ways of pretending. Take a deep breath in. Thank you to me. Gratitude for me. Gratitude for my ability to recognize the scared parts and not be at war with them, but understand. Take a deep breath in. Thank you you for getting better at having awareness of when it is the scared part of me that wants to take the wheel and be in the driver's seat. Take a deep breath in. Thank you for learning how to be kind, how to be gentle, how to be loving with the scared part of me, so that I have the ability to choose and say it is the higher version of me. It is my higher self, it is my soul that will be in the driver's seat. One more big breath in. Thank you, beautiful people. I love this big comment, Ilza. I'll take my time and read it properly just now. Thank you. Lots of love to you. Good morning, Vivian. It's good to see you. Dineshan, good morning. Thank you for popping in. Nala, good morning. It is so good to see you. Thank you, Sunmari. Thank you, Marcella. Thank you, Pat. And whoever else might be in the background that I can't see right now. You have come a long way. Please remind yourself of that. We have moments where it feels like we're back at square one. I promise you that's never true. And I have to thank Marcella for last night's reminder that once you have awareness, the awareness never goes away. You might find yourself feeling like I'm back at square one. And it could feel like that, but you have a new awareness. And this awareness means it's not back at step one. You catch yourself faster. You come through it quicker. You pick yourself up in a stronger way than you have before. Lots of love to you. Have an awesome day and see you soon. Ciao, ciao.